It's company. We are in this place. We are ready to get started, have some fun conversation topics for you guys tonight. But before we get started, Ray, what's been going on with you since May? What's been going on?
And same old, man. I like to lay low. I don't do much, man. I'm a full-time dad. So my kick it has greatly diminished in these last couple of years. But the little one is taking over the world now. So she runs stuff in this house. So, when she lets me out, then I come out to play. But um, I'm, you know, I'm doing well. I think we had already moved, but we moved into a new place. So we left Brooklyn and moved into Manhattan, and it's been a different experience. I'm used to being around my people, and I'm not anymore, but it's cool.
Okay, okay.
What about you? What's going on? What's new in your world?
What's new in my world since May? So I did move from one location in Columbus to a different location in Columbus, but still in Columbus.
Mhm.
So we got that going on. My son officially started high school this fall.
Man,
So I am the boy mom of a teenager. So y'all keep me in your prayers. Any of y'all out there that are parents, especially parents of teenagers, you already know. But things have been okay so far. Just parenting a teenager, and we'll
right.
keep it there. And yeah, just really focusing on my brand and mixed company and building it out and really just getting it to a place where we have more exposure. That's definitely
Hmm.
a goal for 22. And I have some other things up my sleeve, but no need to really go into all of those details right now. But I can say for the most part, all is well, and I am blessed, and I can't complain.
What's up? I
Definitely.
like that. I like that hoodie you got on. What's that you wearing?
Oh, it's the conversation for me, baby. Listen, it's the
Hey,
conversation for me. You think that?
hey, I did. That's dope. Yeah, man.
Yes, yes. So, those of you that are joining us today, you may be new to Mixed Company or you may have participated in season one, but I always like to just kind of do a reset and briefly talk about what Mixed Company is and where exactly it came from. So, believe it or not, Mixed Company actually was an in person event that I started back in January of 2020 prior to the pandemic. Being new to Columbus, not knowing a lot of people, but knowing a decent amount of people in different pockets of my life, I thought it would be cool to invite people to come to my house, people that didn't know each other, to just hang out, have fun, and have great conversation. If you follow me on Facebook, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I always like having different topics and discussions about a variety of things. So I love bringing people together to have conversation. So I thought it would be great to kind of do an event where I can bring different people here that I know in Columbus together that may not know each other to have these type of conversations in person. The goal of it outside of the conversations was to also walk away with a new friend or a new connection or whatever the case may be. So the first 2 months of 2020 did it at my house and it was a really great turnout. Everybody that attended had a really great time and they're like, Monisa, this event is dope. You should keep doing this, blase, blase. Then obviously COVID 19 hit in March. So I stopped doing mixed company and I attempted to do it via Zoom in April of 2020. And for me, it just wasn't the same. Obviously, Zoom was really new for a lot of us. Doing virtual events was new. So it was uncomfortable. It didn't feel like the in person mixed company. So I wasn't really a fan of it. But I had a conversation with one of my really good friends and our graphic designer, Tay Shropshire. Some of you may know him if you're from Cleveland. And he really just encouraged me to keep it going. To keep going. He said, Monisa, this is a dope idea. I think you could really take this and grow with it. I think you could really do some amazing things. Give Zoom another chance. And I'm like, I don't know. But I don't know. He really just lit the fire under me to just try it, to try it again. So I really just went full force, created my website. He created the logos for me. I was like, okay, well, I definitely would love to have a co-host. I think it would be dope to have a male co-host to help me with this. So of course I reached out to Ray. Everybody that knows Ray, personality out the wazoo, but brings very great perspective to controversial topics. So I reached out to Ray. He was all for it. We gave it a test run on Clubhouse because at the time Clubhouse was a thing. Y'all don't talk about Clubhouse no more, but
Man,
many
I
people
haven't been on
did.
Clubhouse in so long.
People still utilize Clubhouse though. That's the crazy thing, but I just don't hear people talk about it anymore.
I'm all good on Clubhouse.
But we did it on Clubhouse and it actually was a hit. We were on
Yeah, for sure.
Clubhouse. Listen, we was on Clubhouse for like 4 hours
Yeah.
talking about any and everything with obviously people from everywhere. And so that was like the extra push and the extra fire, like, okay, we gotta do this.
Hmm.
So fast forward to January of 2020, we had our first episode of Mixed Company, and it was great. It was dope. It was great conversation, a lot of great topics brought to the table. Those watching were very engaged. And so it was a great experience. And so now here we are, season two, about to go into January of 2022. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. Every year we're trying to add, do bigger things, better things, make it a better experience for all of us. So we definitely got some things in store for you guys in 22. So please continue to support. Please continue to follow the page. Reach out if you got questions. But yeah, 22 is going to be a great year for Mixed Company. For
What
sure.
they say on YouTube, like, share, subscribe,
Yeah, right.
turn your notifications on, all that fly shit.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and you can find all of the previous recordings of Mixed Company on our page, and they're also loaded on my YouTube page. I think I have it somewhere in the informational section. But yeah, you can see all of the episodes on our Mixed Company page on Facebook. So, yeah, yeah. I don't even know what are our viewers looking like. Where y'all at out there? What they looking like out there? Can you see? Bray,
Yeah, they're coming. Let's just get into the conversation.
let's get into conversations. All
Let's do
right.
it.
All right. So those of you that watch Insecure, when well, let me rewind. Let me rewind. So those of you that are familiar with Mixed Company, every month we have a panel of people that do not know each other from all over the United States, and they submit questions or topics for us to discuss when we go live. Obviously it's just me and Ray today. So the twist that we put on it tonight was we decided to see what y'all been talking about on social media and the conversations and the hot topics that other people have been talking about. And we picked a few of those topics that we've seen on social media and decided to bring them to tonight so that we can put our own spin on those conversation topics. So one of the first topics was actually something that I kind of made up on my own. I didn't see this on social media, but I'm sure all of you out there that watch Insecure probably saw, I think it was in maybe the first episode when Kelly was having conversation with Issa, talking about the relationship between Issa and Molly and how it was kind of weird getting back to that space. And Issa was asking Kelly for advice, like, you know, how when you and what's her name, Tiffany, I think her name is. I can't think of the girl's name, but when
I don't watch the show, but
I know I can't even lean on you to fill
my
in the
bad.
blanks. So,
My bad.
but anyway, she was just saying like, what did you do when you guys went through your rough patch and y'all made amends and was trying to get back to a good place? And Kelly said we were fake back before we were back back. We were fake back before we were back back. And for me, that hit because for the ladies out there, and I'm gonna let Ray speak for the fellas, but I know for the ladies out there, we're very particular about our friendships. And we take our friendships very seriously, very emotionally, and our path, our journey when it comes to our friendships with our girlfriends, is different from guys. And so when she said we were fake back before we were back, for me, it just made me think about friendships in the past where, you had a good friend in your life and for whatever reason you went your separate ways, or maybe you had a falling out, or whatever the case may be. And at some point, maybe you guys rekindle the friendship. And it's awkward, if you fall out with someone, you haven't really been talking to them because y'all weren't on good terms, and then y'all try to make amends and pick up where you left off. It's a very awkward and uncomfortable space. So when she said we were fake back before we were back, I felt that in my spirit because that is so true. You're around them and you're having these conversations like, "Hey, girl, what's been new?" Just you digging, right? You're
Right.
digging for
Yeah.
conversation. But Ray, what like when you hear this phrase, and you hear what I'm saying in regards to female friendships, like what are your thoughts when it comes from like the male perspective?
I don't feel like men operate like that. Like I can't think of any scenario in which I'm going to be fake back with anybody. Like I either fuck with you or I don't. And so when I heard it, I was like, it was weird to me because like I said, I just don't think that men operate in the same way that women do. It's not that like we don't value our friendships, but I don't know, man. Like falling out with friends is, I mean, we outgrow people, right? But I guess I'm not looking to rekindle any of those old friendships, right? Like if I stop being someone's friend, or if we stop being cool, like typically that's for a reason. So I don't have a need to be fake back with anybody to try to get back with them. So
Okay, okay. I was trying to see if we had any comments. I'm not. Have you seen any comments in the?
no comments just yet.
No comments.
I'm curious to know what the people think though, because I'm sitting here trying to think of anybody that like I fell out with that I tried to make up with. Like I'm good. I'm good.
I mean, I think, and I'm only speaking from personal experience. Of course, there's going to be friends or ex friends that you go your separate ways for whatever reason, and you guys don't come back. It's just
Mhm.
you go your separate ways, and it is what it is. But then there are certain situations where you have friends who you go your separate ways, and life brings you back together. Maybe because you have a moment where you're like, you know what, I really want to rekindle that friendship. That person was really special to me. Or maybe you
Mhm.
guys went your separate ways because of life. Nothing happened. There wasn't this event that happened. It's just life happens. So
Yeah.
somehow you make your way back together. And so it's easier to kind of, make amends because there wasn't anything challenging in the friendship that you feel like, okay, well, I can still be cordial with this person.
Well, right. I also think that there's something to be said about the fact that like women's relationship with their friends are far more complex than men's relationships are with ours, right? Like there's really I don't want to say it's not dynamic, but like we go hang out, watch sports, go play sports, and kick it. Like there's not much to be mad at unless like I smashed a babe that you liked or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, but
But
then
I
there are guy
think,
codes that. Now I'm just saying there are guy codes that don't allow you to get mad at that. So like, so it's like you guys deal with each other in a far more um, sentimental way than I think men do. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but I do think that men in many respects don't. We don't even show our emotions to people that we're in relationships with all the time, let alone someone that we're in a friendship with.
and I think women, our expectations in our friendships are also different, right? Like, I think that we, hold our girlfriends to a certain standard or a certain expectation as far as like, this is what I would like my friend to do. This is what I would expect her to do. This is what I would like for her to do. And so if someone falls short of these expectations that we've set, then
That's wild to me that y'all even have expectations of people like that.
well, what
Like I
does
feel like
friendship look like to you as a guy? If you had to define friendship, right? What does friendship mean to you? Or if you think about the friends in your life,
yeah.
like what are their roles and what makes, I don't know if you have, like a best friend, for example, but if you do, what makes your best friend a best friend and what makes that person different than the rest of your friends?
So I don't really categorize my friends like that. I feel like every interaction is organic. Everyone's natural. Like I'm not putting added pressure on someone to be my best friend. So you have to do things in a certain way. I feel like that expectation is like the mother of disappointment, right? Like if you set expectations for someone, I don't really feel like anybody owes us anything, right? So like who am I to say that I expect something of someone just to be my friend? I feel like that's a little arrogant. Don't you? Like you got to do this to be my friend. Like that's wild, Mo.
I don't think it's more so of you got to do this to be my friend or you got to be this to be my friend. But I think that when you have someone in your close circle,
Mhm.
um, there are certain things that you just like that you would prefer, that makes that person even closer to you than someone that's not really in your circle. So, like, if I have a best friend, my expectation of her may be a little bit different than just a girlfriend that we kick it with sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
So
I just feel like, and I guess obviously it's different for guys, or maybe it's just different for you. I would be, interested to hear other guys' perspective on friendships, but I feel like there are just certain things that you want from your friends. You want to hear from your friends. You want your friends to check on you. If you need someone to talk to you, you want your friends to be, available as much as their capacity will allow for them to be available. Like I feel like there are just certain things that sets your different friends apart from one another. And I don't think that it means you're arrogant because there are certain things that you expect from your friend, because a friendship, a relationship, any type of relationship is a two-way street. You give and you receive. And so if I'm in a friendship, then just as much as I'm giving whatever it is that I'm giving, my expectation is that you're also giving something to me as well. And so I do think that all friendships do require give and take.
let me ask you this, because what it sounds to me, right, is that you maybe set or gave the title of best friend first, right? And then had these expectations. But I kind of feel, right, that whomever in your circle fulfills those things that you need or want should get that title, right? Like the title shouldn't come before the action. It should be the action that gives that person that title.
So that's a good point, and I will say that I agree and I disagree. So I agree because I feel like when I was younger, I
Mm-hmm.
did that. I think a
Okay.
lot of us, and I don't want to speak for every woman, but I feel like a lot of us as young girls, we picked our best friends at a young
Mm-hmm.
age, and it wasn't because of anything particular. It may have just been because I play with you all the time, or our parents know each other, so we give them the title before we really see really who they are. But
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I've realized is I've reimagined what best friend means to me. And so for a while, I always had this classification. Okay, these are my best friends, these are my friends, and these are my associates, all these buckets. But
Yeah.
then as I got older and I started really paying attention to people's actions, the role that they play in my life, things start to change and those titles start to change, and I started kind of looking at my best friends as my sisters, because you're like family. The things that you've done, the role that you've played in my life, how you've been there for me, and vice versa. The experiences that we've gone through together, you're damn near like family.
Mm-hmm.
So forget the best friend title. You're my sister, you're my family. And so I do have four women that I consider best friends. my family, these will be my bridesmaids. But then
Hmm.
I think that there are other women in my life that play certain roles. Um,
I
that
seen that fine ass group of women you hang out with.
you said what?
I said I done seen that fine ass group of women you hang out with.
I ain't gonna put you on blast. But all my
Hey
friends are
y'all.
fine. All my friends are fine, and I'm not just saying that. All my friends are fine. Um, but yeah, so I just realized that everybody plays a different role in your life, and it doesn't mean that you care about one person more than the other. They just play different roles in your life. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. If you can acknowledge that this is like, I was reading something the other day that was talking about you have people in your life for different areas of your life. You got your travel buddies, like that's my girl I'm a travel with. That's all we do is we just travel together. Or you have your friend, like that's the person that I know if I need advice, I can call and I can vent and they can give me sound, solid advice. Then you
Hmm.
got your friend that's like, oh, we just going to the club. We gonna go to the bar, we gonna go to the club, we gonna kick it. But that's all we do. We don't do nothing else. And I think we all have pockets of people in our life that play certain roles that are important to the daily lives that we live, and we have different levels of endearment towards those people for the particular role that they play.
For sure, I don't disagree with that at all. But I will say this, and this is just something that I've thought for a really long time. I think, and I don't know if it's just American culture, but I do feel like we're obsessed with classification and categorization, right? Like we have to be in one box or another, right? Like you can't just eat vegetables for dinner if you're not a vegetarian, right? Like you have to classify yourself as a vegetarian.
Label.
Whereas like I'll have, yeah, labels. Like I'll have, I'll go a week without eating meat. But then if I want a steak, I'm going to have a steak, and I do feel that a lot of times, to your point about expectation, when we set those expectations of people, it gives them space to disappoint us, right? It gives us space to for them to not live up to it. Whereas if we just allow those people to be in our lives in whatever way it happens naturally or organically, then like we can just accept that friendship for what it is. So I guess that's probably why I don't classify people as best friends or anything. They're even like, I have groups of friends, and I often say that I exist on the fringes of a lot of circles. Like I don't really have like an inner circle of people. I have people that I kick it with more than others. And I have guys that I consider to be closer to me than others. But I don't think I necessarily have expectations of those men other than just being a good dude.
Yeah. No, I definitely hear what you're saying. It makes sense. And I don't know. I think that's just how it is with women, and that's why there's that big difference between, our friendships compared to guy friendships.
Mm-hmm.
But your friendships are less drama typically. So,
Definitely. Like I've got guys that I don't talk to. I could not talk to one of my guys for 6 months, a year, or whatever, and then I'd be like, "Yo, I'm about to shoot down to Atlanta," and they're like, "All right, nigga, let's kick it." Right? And it's just like it was 10 years ago when we were hanging out every day. Like I don't think, and I can't speak for all men, but I just think in general, we don't require as much. We don't have that same expectation of our friends that women do.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna let you kick off this next one because I know it was something that came up in your news feed about
Oh, yeah.
fathers.
So, all right. So I saw this post. One of my guys, Geronimo, he posted. He said, "Okay, fellas, I need y'all to tap in. They say y'all out here telling single moms that they're lucky to have a baby's father that takes care of their kids." So that got me to thinking, man. Like I've never heard this, and I told you this the other night, Mo. Like I've never heard a man say like, "Oh, you're lucky that I'm taking care of my kids." That's tacky as fuck to me. like it is. Like I feel like it's a given, right? Like if you have kids, you take care of them. Like that's I don't I know that there um, there are single moms and single parents out there, but the notion that a man would tell the mother of his child that she's lucky is weird. What's your take on it, Mo?
So I think that unfortunately, because when we think about the single mother household and the alarming amounts or numbers of moms that are raising children without the fathers in their lives, for a man to, well, one, let me say this, I think it is absurd to say you're lucky to have me. However, the thought process behind it, unfortunately, is the reality, because there are men out here who, in high numbers, very high numbers, that are not involved in their child's life. And so, for you, it may seem absurd because the circle of men that you probably are around are probably, I mean, it sounds like I'm assuming they're upstanding men that are very active in their children's lives. But unfortunately, there are a large number of men who are not active in their kids' lives. And so other men probably look at it like, because those numbers are so high of single moms, they're probably looking at it like, you're lucky that I'm here because I don't have to be here. Men have this, they have this, I don't know, advantage, or I don't know, they're, a man doesn't have to be there if he doesn't really want to be. And nobody is really holding him to that standard of you have to be in your child's life. The mom is not left with an option to be here or to not be here. Um, so I understand the notion behind it, because unfortunately there are just so many men out here that are not a part of their kids' lives, that unfortunately, if you are kind of like a prize because it's
Well, I mean, so I want to push back on that. I don't think it's rare, buddy.
She's
Sorry,
like, I got something to say.
sorry, I got a crying baby in the background.
Speaking of
Perfect for the topic.
fathers. That's okay. Little mama, she just wanted to say something on camera too. We love seeing black men active in their kids' lives. Look at that. Look at that.
Sorry. What was I saying? Yeah. So, I guess I hear the the stereotypes and um, the idea that the black father is absent. But, huh? What you say? Okay, give me a second. But and I try not to be so naive as to think that my experience and the experience of the men around me are all that exists. But I guess I the way that I feel is, if I can have this circle, right, then you can too, and it's like I often tell women when they have such negative views of men that they should pick better men. They should pick, like, get into circles of men that aren't shitty. Because I find it hard to believe that every experience that a woman has with a man is a shitty experience. At some point, the common denominator is you.
But so my pushback on that comment is, you don't know how a person is going to be as a parent until you're actually in that situation. So it's very unfair to say that if I meet a guy and we're dating and we're together and we've been together
Sorry,
for,
I agree about the parenting part. I was just talking about the dating part. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
but if you're with someone and this is pre-child, you don't know how they're going to be as a parent. There are people that totally flip the script and become a totally different person once a child is involved. So you could, I mean, this isn't my situation, but you could totally be with someone who everything seems great, then you get pregnant and they decide, well, I don't want to have a child, and you're choosing to have a child, so I don't want to be a part of that child's life. And I don't think that that's a representation of how that person chose to pick that person, because you just never know. People change up every day, and you never know what you're getting into, and there isn't a certain type of guy that you can automatically look like and be like, oh, he's going to be a shitty dad. You know, there are men that are in the streets that are shitty dads.
Um,
There are men who are
there's some red flags that you can see.
that they're going to be a shitty
Mm,
dad.
um, yeah. So let's take like Summer Walker for example, right? Like she had a kid by a nigga that has three other baby moms and was shitty to them too, right? Like, so you thought you were going to change them? That's the kind of decision making that I'm talking about, right?
Okay, so you got the
Like,
Summer Walkers of
okay,
the world. But then what if you just have the plain Jane, ordinary, every day to day woman who meets a man? Maybe he has kids, maybe he doesn't. He seems like an upstanding man. Maybe went to college, got a degree, got a good job. He seems like on paper, like he probably would be a good man. And then you get pregnant and he ends up being a deadbeat father. Like, again, people change when they're put in
I hear that.
situations that they're uncomfortable with or that they don't agree with. They totally become a totally different person, and there's no way to predict that a woman or a man will become or be a shitty parent, because you don't know what type of parent you are until you're a parent. You know, we can all say without having kids, oh, I'm gonna be this type of parent and I'm gonna be this and I'm gonna be that, but you really don't know what type of parent a person is going to be, and so they're actually in a position to be a parent.
Right.
I don't think it
No,
would
I
be fair to say that women need to pick better men, because no matter what type of man you pick, it's really a roll of the dice as far as you don't know what type of parent they're going to be.
same. There are shitty mothers out there too, and I think that's a conversation for another day. But what I was saying is not. I agree with you 100%. My point was that if on the dating pool, if every man that you meet is a bad guy, then I think that you should attempt to roll in different circles. That's it. I totally agree that parenting totally changes things, but I see all too often, like, women that have nothing but negative things to say about men on social media. And I just find it hard to believe that every man that you date, every single one of them is a bad guy, unless you're picking a certain type of dude. Bless you, buddy.
And I mean, I can definitely, agree to that, that men and women, we get caught up in types, what we like, um, and we're not able to, if we're not self-aware, we're not able to really decipher what is healthy for us and what is not healthy for us. um and sometimes when you're so caught up in, this is what I want, and you have a list, so to speak, of the things that you want, you tend to ignore the red flags of, the person that you're dealing with, and it's right in front of your face, like this person is not good for you, or this person would not be a good, significant other, or a good parent, or a good husband, good wife, or whatever the case may be. And so I think that we all have been guilty at some point in our life of ignoring those red flags, and unfortunately maybe finding ourselves in a situation where it's like, dag, I should have paid attention to those red flags a little bit earlier. But you just never know. It's, again, people switch it up.
But
People
y'all,
change all the time.
y'all, I feel like some women are attracted to the red flags. Yes, buddy. Okay, I'm coming. Give me a second. My bad. But go ahead, Mo.
No, you were saying something. You said women are attracted to the red flags.
Some of them, like that whole bad boy image, or like the features of the world. Like that. That's from what I hear and see on the social channels. Like that's attractive.
I had a stage in life where I was attracted to, the bad boys, but I was young. And I feel like a lot of women in their younger days probably were attracted to something that was different,
Hmm.
something that they, didn't typically experience. I know for me, growing up in the suburbs of Cleveland, obviously I was around guys from the suburbs. But then when I went to Toledo, I was just like really attracted to the Toledo guys, like the guys in the city, not the ones on campus, but the ones I was wearing Carhartt and
And,
Timberland
and
boots. And
and driving Monte Carlos on dubs.
yeah, oh, I used to love me a Carlo. And was doing things that they probably shouldn't have been doing. So I think there's a certain level of thrill and stepping outside of what people expect of you that for some of us women, I can't speak for all, where it's just kind of like it's fun. That bad boy image is fun. It kind of gives you that adrenaline rush. It's not, it's, I don't know, it's like a challenge, it's different. But from my experience back, way back in my college days when I was attracted to, the bad boy type, I can say that some of my best relationships were with the bad guys. Um, they treated
Mm,
me they
I need you to elaborate on that. Yeah, please
they
elaborate
treated
on that.
me really really well. I mean I haven't had this conversation in a while, but from my experience, I'm only speaking from my experience, but my experience with guys that were like in the streets, didn't go to college, whatever the case may be, because I was a suburb girl, because I went to college, I was educated. It's like they held me to a certain they held me to a certain regard, and it was like she's a good girl, and so I'm gonna treat her like a queen because this isn't the type of woman that I typically deal with. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna treat her differently. And so a lot of my really great dating experiences were with men who were in the streets because I felt like they truly valued me because I was different from most women that they dealt with. But then you think about men that are similar to me, at the time in college, getting their degrees, maybe in a fraternity, whatever the case may be. I'm just like every other chick that they deal with. We all in college. We all in sororities and fraternities. We all got something going for ourselves. So I wasn't different. So I'm gonna treat you like I'm gonna treat you like I'm gonna treat every other woman because nothing about you is a little bit different or a little bit above or a little bit higher. So I don't feel like I need to give you that extra special queen treatment because you just like the rest of the women that I'm dealing with on campus. And the guys in the streets, they appreciate you more because they know that they ain't gonna really get too many girls like you. What you gotta say, fraternity
A
boys
whole,
from
a whole,
HBCU?
a
That fits
whole
the
lot.
mold of what I'm talking about.
I mean, okay, so you're not wrong.
I know I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong, right? But that,
Yeah.
so how can I put this? Um, that's kind of shitty, Mo, to date someone because yeah, because you're in a higher socioeconomic status than
That's
they
not what I said. That's not what I said. That's not, don't put words in my mouth.
Like, yeah, I'm gonna go date these poor niggas in the streets because I'm a queen. like,
That's not what I said. I said
whoa.
no, I was not seeking them for that reason. I'm saying that in my experiences, that is the type of treatment that I received, and it made me realize the difference between guys in the streets and the guys that I may have been dating that were on campus. And it was like kind of like an aha moment, like they genuinely appreciate me, like they like genuinely appreciate me because I bring something to the table that is different than what they're used to. I'm different from for them, and they're different from me. So it's fun, it's exciting because we are coming from two totally different worlds. Because more than likely, the type of women that they deal with, if they're not like, at the time in college and stuff like that, the mindset, the attitude is just different. It's just different. What we're talking about is different. So when you have a woman that is coming from a different world, and she's
Mhm.
bringing something to the table that you're not used to, is exciting and it's different, and vice versa. I'm coming from a certain type of environment and I'm interacting with someone from a different type of environment, and it's new, it's fun, it's exciting. It's like, ooh, this is different.
First of all, I'm from 105, Monisa, so don't ever call me out like I ain't from the streets. No, I'm just joking. Um,
Okay,
no,
Alabama
but so,
A&M, Kappa Alpha Psi.
no, so I mean, I get that. And I think for middle class men like myself, I think we because we are high achievers or have a high earning ceiling, like we do feel like we can have our pick of the litter, right? So you're not wrong in that regard. So I guess I just never looked at it from the woman's perspective of the things that you guys have to do to attract us, right? So I mean that's a interesting time. I take it. I always looked at it as I guess I never really understood why suburban women went for hood niggas, but that makes a ton of sense to me.
And again, I can't speak for all suburban women that have been or are attracted to, guys that are in the streets, but that is just my personal experience. And those are the takeaways that, I have from those experiences. And I'm sure that there's probably a woman out there that's like, oh no, girl, my experience is a lot different. But
Yeah.
but that was my experience in that time, um, that I was attracted to that type of guy. And yeah, it's it's hard out here if you want a certain caliber of a man, whatever that caliber is. It's hard.
I hear you. I hear you. Um, yeah, and that's not my experience at all. Like I've never felt like it was hard to find the woman that I wanted to date. Um, However that comes across, that's just my experience. No, ma'am, don't touch that, please. Go sit down, please.
All right,
Yeah,
well,
man, for sure.
let's look at the next topic. How can we better support the people around us that we know have mental health issues? And let's discuss black men and their mental health.
So, so when you introduced this topic to me, I think the first thing that I said to you was that I feel that the term mental health is very broad, right? And oftentimes I feel like now it's used to assess some sort of shortcoming sometimes, when in actuality it's simply about the fitness of your mental state, right? Like how you're faring in your day to day, like how you're interacting with your family, with your friends, and the people around you. So, buddy, stop, please. Stop crying. Dry your eyes. Thank you. Give me 2 seconds. Um, so
Wait, can we
yeah,
just talk about how she just stopped crying when you said stop crying? I love that. Go ahead.
because she's showing off because she knows that I'm talking to people, and she's sleepy. She didn't take a nap today. But yeah, man. So I yeah, so I just wanted to narrow the topic down a little bit, and just speak, I guess, about the black men and our mental health. I do think that it's important to note that for much of our lives, like we haven't had the space to we haven't had the space to, to express ourselves, or to show our emotions, or show our feelings, or to show any vulnerability, right? So we've never had, you know, who do we vent to? Who do we talk to? Like mental health wasn't something that a man, let alone a black man, could ever, exert or talk about up until very recently.
I'm sorry, I'm just now seeing these comments.
Oh,
In the live, yeah, so yeah, there's some comments in here about the last topic. Sorry to kind of
let's go back.
switch
It's all
gears.
good.
Oh, okay, well here, let's fast forward. So Marcel says, "I am learning more that it is hard to have the space to really express how we feel because we are always grinding and pushing to be better in society." From a guy's perspective, do you agree or do you disagree, Ray?
So I agree with him, but I think that, like me, for example, I take time to just be comfortable in where I am, right? And so when I set goals, I might set them lofty, but I'm not one that's going to beat myself up for being where I am now, right? Like, and I think that a lot of us, especially black men, right? Like, I'm close to 40, and I thought I'd be worth a couple billion by now, and so to not be in the place where we thought we should be, or where society tells us we should be at a certain point, like that's a little difficult to swallow. But for me to have a roof over my head, to have two healthy children, to not wonder where my meals are coming from, like I don't want for anything. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think it's sometimes important to just. There's a meme that I saw that said, hold on one second, buddy. It said, "You are now living out one of the prayers you used to pray." Right. And I thought that was so powerful and so impactful for me, because, we get to this point in our lives where we want more, we want more, we want more, but we don't ever take the time to just be thankful for what we have and where we are.
Do you feel like the challenges that you have as a black man and all of the struggles that you come across when we think about this safe space of, just kind of to Marcel's point of not feeling like or feeling like it's hard to have somewhere to express yourself, do you feel like that's something that you struggle with, where you don't feel like you, or where you feel like you have nowhere where you can really just be 100% vulnerable? I know that a lot of men, a lot of black men, really struggle with really being vulnerable. And I think about a post that I posted probably about a year or two ago, where I just kind of I was talking about how, you know, black men specifically, do you feel like you have a safe space to be vulnerable?
Hell no.
And then that's exactly what happened. A lot of men commented and said absolutely not. And a lot of the men that commented were men who are in relationships, men who are married. And I thought that that was very interesting, that even as a married man, even as a man in a relationship, you don't feel like if no one else in this world is your safe space, you're still on my status saying you don't have a safe space at all. And I found that very alarming to hear that there are men married and in relationships who feel as though their significant other is not a safe space for them. And some of the comments and feedback that I received from
Oh,
that
go
when
get it, buddy.
I brought that to, to the
Go get it. Right
attention
there.
was that there are men that feel like, if I bring whatever my issues are to my wife or my girlfriend or whatever the case may be, one, she may not really understand me, or two, she potentially may, throw it in my face later on, or three, it turns, maybe she flips it and it's back about her and she doesn't really fully accept what it is
Well,
that I have to say.
so while those things are negative viewpoints of it, right? Like, let me offer this. There's also the point, right, where I don't want to burden my lady with those things, right? Because like they look to me for stability, for strength, right, and to lead the household. So if I you know if I am struggling with something or whatever, like maybe I'm making it the tension in my house, or I'm not being that rock that I've been told that I'm supposed to be, right? So there's some external things and also some internal things, that like I know a lot of men that just don't talk about their feelings. So I know in different parts of the world they call it different things. They call it jonin or roasting or whatever. But like when you say things or have vulnerable moments in your circle of friends, you get joked for it, right? Like and that sort of hardens you in a way that, like, okay, I can't tell my friends shit. And then in early relationships, like because of the close relationships that women have with their friends, if you tell your partner that, she shares it with them, and then if you guys argue, then that comes back up. So yeah, man, it's like everywhere we turn, like there is nowhere for us to have a safe space. And I feel like really the only safe space for a black man is with another emotionally intelligent black man, period.
So I wanna chime in on some of the comments that are in the feed. So Brittany said, "What do you mean by safe space? Like publicly or privately?" So I can't speak for the black man, but I know when I talk about a black man having a safe space with his significant other, I'm talking about in those private moments. When I made the post, it was specifically around, what does your household look like? What is going on in your household? And a lot of the men felt like in their private household with their girlfriend, wife, or whatever,
Okay, buddy, I got you.
they didn't have a safe space privately to be vulnerable with the person that they were dating. And I was just very taken aback, and it was really, hard to hear that men do not, or these men particularly, did not feel like even the women in their lives were not people that they could talk to for different reasons. You expressed your reason where it may be kind of like a pride thing, but there were other
Mm-hmm.
reasons that were also listed in that post where it wasn't an internal reason, it was an external
Yeah.
reason, meaning that it was more so because it was something about the woman that didn't make them feel comfortable to be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really disheartening as a woman, as a black woman, to hear that there are other women that are not providing those safe spaces for their men to be vulnerable. I
Well,
do.
and so a part of the
Go
I
ahead.
was
Go
just going to say a part of that is I also think it's very important for um, to to realize and understand that you have to tell people what you need, right? And a lot of us, we haven't done the work to be able to even express what I need from a woman, right? So like if I can't tell her what I need or how I need you to handle me and to approach me, then she may not know how to do it, right? And so like that's why I think it's important, for men to do the work on themselves to really understand who they are, what they need, and how they need it. And then you can guide a woman into how you need to be handled, right? And I know that saying that might sound weird, right? Like like we talk about how women want to be handled or need to be handled, but I feel like men have that same need.
But unfortunately, I think women typically tend to be more self aware of their needs. Women are more comfortable to go into that vulnerable space to figure out what it is that they need. So it's easier for a woman to tell a man what she needs. However, men, because vulnerability is not something that's typically comfortable for men, from what I see on the outside looking in, if a
Mm-hmm.
man is not comfortable being vulnerable, which vulnerability is required to even do or be self aware to know what it is that you need to be able to verbalize what you need, then I mean that's a whole topic within itself that needs unpacking, where more men need to be able to get to a space where they're comfortable with the vulnerability, to get to the place where they are self-aware, to know enough about themselves to be able to tell a woman what his needs are. And one thing that I can appreciate about times right now is that slowly but surely more men, more black men are becoming more comfortable with going to therapy. They're becoming more comfortable with having these vulnerable conversations. And it's so exciting to hear and to see that this transition is taking place. It's slow, but it's steady and it's happening. But we're not all the way there yet. You know, there's still a large amount of men, a large amount of black men who still are not comfortable with making that step to going to therapy. So even if there are men who are like, you know, I'm open to having the vulnerable conversations, I know a lot of men who, okay, the first step is I'm open, the next step is actually going to therapy. That's the step they get stuck at. They're not putting in the effort or the true work to actually go to therapy. So it's a long, it's just, it's a process. It's a journey.
Definitely. And so one of the points I wanted to make is so therapy is maintenance, right? It's not, you don't go to therapy because something's wrong, right? Like you don't take your car to get an oil change because something's wrong. It's maintenance, right? And so
Preventative.
once we look at it that way, we can take the stigma away from it. And one of the things that people do in the beginnings of relationships is we put on the best version of self instead of giving our authentic self, right? And so we cause the person that we're attempting to attract to really fall for someone that we're not. And so trying to keep up this facade or this show of who I presented to you in the beginning is exhausting. And so at some point, right, like that's where the arguments come in, and the you don't do what you used to do's come in, and all of those things, right? And if you don't have a good foundation in your relationship, then like you're never going to get to the point of transparency in order enough to be vulnerable with that person, because you're trying to navigate so many other things, right? So I think it's very important to always be your authentic self, especially in the beginning. Like I was a bit of an asshole about it, but like I I was, I call myself actively single, right? Like I was dating intentionally. Like I would invite a couple of babes out at a time, like because I wasn't trying to be with any one person, but this was just what I felt like I needed to do, to really see who or what, to see who I wanted to be with or what type of woman I wanted to be with, like I didn't want to give one particular person my time and act like we were in a relationship before we were. That was something that worked for me. I'm not recommending that to anybody, but yeah.
Well, I know that, we've been going for a while and we've had some great dialogue. I do want to wrap up with the very last topic of the evening, I think it
Okay.
still is a good topic to speak on. It's still kind of relevant to the topic that we're currently on right now. But let's talk about, why do men feel like they need to achieve success before settling down? And when I read this topic, when I think about this question, um, I think about this particular, I think it was a post that I had seen, and it just kind of talks about, the right woman won't be a distraction to whatever it is that you're doing. And I feel like, because men feel like they have to focus on something because they feel like a woman could potentially be a distraction from whatever it is that they're trying to achieve. But if you have the right woman in your corner, she's not going to be a distraction. She's not going to keep you from accomplishing the goals that you want to accomplish. Marcel commented in the on the post. He says, because we are providers. And that's great. You guys can be providers, but you can't be a provider and be a partner at the same time.
So if I can just answer this very bluntly, the reason why we feel like that is because y'all told us that we had to, right? Like if we don't have it all together when we come like that, like what are we bringing to the table? Well, I haven't saved up enough money to buy a table yet, right? And if I don't have a table for you, like then you don't feel comfortable and secure with me. And I'll be the first to say that women aren't distractions, bitches are distractions, and I make that distinction because
And y'all love the bitches.
we do, and bitches are expensive, but dating in itself is expensive, and so like I often tell people that dating is a bad investment, right? Like so, let's say I live in New York, so it's expensive. So you go out on a date, you'll spend $300 easy. Let's say you go on 4 dates a month, right? Like you've spent $1,200 this month just to figure out if this babe likes you. That's not a good investment, right? So like if I am actively dating, um, you okay, buddy? She is miserable. She didn't take a nap today. Sorry. Um, buddy, I forgot the point I was making, but y'all don't want us to come to y'all until we have our shit together. Y'all say y'all want to build, but that's not always the case. I feel like y'all can, if you can see the short term like earning potential of a guy, like say he's in law school or something, like if you can see that short term potential, but like y'all don't want to support his 15-year rap career, like y'all don't want to do that. That's not what you're trying to do.
I'm mad that you said 15-year rap career because that was a little extreme. At the age that we are, I'm absolutely not supporting your 15-year rap career. But
He about
however,
to blow though. He about to blow.
so Brittany says, I think a lot of women are looking to see if you have a vision and a plan. If you have no plan or vision, that's the problem. And I agree with that. I think that in those early dating stages of getting to know someone, if you are properly asking the right questions, and that's another topic within itself because people do not properly date to get the information that they need to get early on. But if you are asking very intentional questions to kind of get a better understanding of a person's mindset, their vision, their goals, if you're seeing what they're doing on a day-to-day basis to kind of get to that place, I think that can really help you determine what route you want to go. So if you from a woman's perspective, or I'll speak from Monisa's perspective, if I meet a guy and he doesn't have a job when I meet him, but I know that he's grinding day to day to try to get a job. I know that he's putting himself out there. I know that he's doing what he needs to do. then I will be okay with that and I will be supportive because you're not sitting on your ass. And
Bullshit,
right,
Monisa.
it's not bullshit for
Bullshit.
me. It's not
You
bullshit
you
for me.
gonna
You want
you
to know?
gonna date a nigga with no job? No
Right,
way. I don't believe
right.
you.
The guy that
I
I'm
don't
not trying
believe
to put him.
you.
I'm not trying to put him on the spot. But the guy that I just was recently dealing with for the past 5 to 6 months did not have a job until a month ago. So
Okay,
I
so
can tell you that, let me finish. I can tell you from Monisa's perspective, I can't speak for other women, but I can tell you from Monisa's perspective that for the past 5 months or so, I was still supportive. I was still there. I was still trying to help him find a job. I was sending him links. I was talking to people that I knew that were hiring, trying to put him on. I was there. I was supportive and I rode the wave. I can't speak for other women, but it's unfair to assume that what I'm saying is bullshit when I just was in that situation.
okay, so and I apologize for calling it bullshit. However, half the country was unemployed for the last year and a half. So it's not, all things being equal, not in a pandemic, right? Like, I don't see a scenario in which a gainfully employed woman that does well for herself with a child to support of her own, right, would choose, opt to date a guy with no job. I, outside of a pandemic, right? I'm saying I just don't see that happening unless he got a mandingo dick or something, like something that like kept you there or whatever. Like that's hard for me to fathom that a woman that has her shit together, that is college educated, and all of these things, has a good job, would choose to date a guy long term that you want to be with seriously with no job.
But if
I
like
think
to but to
that goes
Brittany's,
back to the that goes back to the poor decisions, or the decisions that I was talking about earlier.
I don't
Like,
agree. I
I
don't agree. All right, I don't agree because to Brittany's point is if you're talking to someone and you're getting to know them and you learn that this person has the motivation, they have a vision, they're putting in the work to reach their goals, and unfortunately they're in a situation where they're unemployed for whatever reason, then I think that it is fair to say that there are women out there, myself included, that would be willing to at least wait it out and see. Now, I'm not saying that that's something you're going to wait out for a year or two. Every woman is different. Me and this guy are no longer dating. That's not the reason why we're no longer dating. But what I will say is that if you see that a guy has a certain type of motivation within themselves and a fire within themselves to reach whatever their goals are, I'm not just gonna completely write you off. Now, if when I talk to you, all you doing is sleeping and playing video games and you're not trying to do better, okay, now that's a different story. I'll be dumb to just sit around and see what can come from that. But if I know that you're out there grinding, that you're trying to find a job, you're applying for jobs, you're creating the business plan, you're doing what you need to do, you're networking, you're connecting with people, who am I to write you off when you're putting in the work?
if this was your boyfriend already, right? Cool. Support that man if he lost his job, all of that. I get that. That makes sense to me. But to go out and newly date someone that doesn't have a job seems grossly irresponsible to me. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying that whatever. It's irresponsible.
But what if nothing about your interaction with that person feels as though they don't even have a job? So, what if it's a situation where they're still able to take you out on nice dates? They're still financially secure because maybe they have a savings, maybe they are invested in different stocks or whatever the case may be. So, they're still in a situation where they're still financially stable enough to still be in their house or their apartment, take care of their kids, still able to date you, where from the outside looking in, you don't even know that they don't have a job. And then this also goes to a point that I recently saw on social media that talks about people are so quick to ask someone in the very early stages, where do you work, what do you do, so that we can determine how we want to judge you based off of what your occupation is. Again, that's another topic within itself, but it kind of relates to what
Yeah.
we're talking about today. So even in dating conversations, like, is that what we're still doing? Are we still asking people within the first one or two conversations, what do you do, where do you work, and oh, I'm going to judge you or determine if I want to move forward with you based off of if you tell me you're a custodian at the local Walmart, or you tell me that you're an attorney, you know what I'm saying? And I feel as though, like, we have to get out of that mindset of judging people based off of their situation. Me dating this particular guy who was unemployed was different for me. I can say that, to my friends. It probably was like, Monisa, what are you doing? This is not normally what you do. This is not normally something that you're okay with. But this particular guy, I saw something in him beyond his particular situation that I was understanding of. And I was willing to give him an opportunity because shit happens, life happens. And so sometimes we're just so stuck on those materialistic things, or we're so stuck on, oh, well, what can he give me financially or materialistically? But I'm also looking at the emotional aspect of it, the mental aspect, because you may not have a job right now because of XYZ, but you're doing what you need to do to get that job. So maybe financially you're not in the best situation, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually, you're giving me the things that a man that's making six figures has not been able to give me. So what's more?
Okay. So two things I want to say. One, I feel like this position is skewed because of the pandemic, right? So a lot of people were financially secure with no jobs because of PPP, because of unemployment, because of all of these things, right? So cool, right? Like I get that. There you could live well and not have a job for the last year and a half. Great, right? But so what I'm saying is that outside of a pandemic, during normal circumstances, when all of this free money isn't available, if you don't have a job, right? If you're financially secure enough to sustain for a year and a half with no job, I would consider you to be independently wealthy, right? Which means that you're not looking for a job, which you're not unemployed.
And the guy that I
Unemployed.
was dealing with, he was unemployed from 2019 until November of 2021. And until September of 2021, he wasn't even actively looking for a job because he was financially secure enough where he didn't really need a job.
So that's what I'm saying. So unemployed by definition means that you don't have a job and you're looking for work, right? That's a difference. If you're a housewife on the Upper East Side, you're not unemployed. You just don't work. So I want to make that distinction because saying that you're unemployed means that I don't have a job and I'm looking for one. I can't find one. So you misrepresented him is what I'm saying, right? Like he wasn't unemployed, he just wasn't working. I've gone in the last 4 years, I've worked maybe two and a half. I've taken long stints without working, right? I wasn't looking for a job though. So that's what I'm saying. And the other thing that I wanted to say to you, and I think Rob Coggins made this point that like all of that other stuff is great, emotional, like spiritual, like all that shit is great, but security is paramount, right? Like if we're not secure, if we don't know how we're going to pay the bills, if we don't know how we're going to put food on the table, I'm not trying to pray and be emotionally secure with somebody up under a bridge. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like security and financial security almost has to be like if not at the top, very close to it.
But is it fair to say that at the very beginning, when you're first meeting someone, if they're in a situation where financially they're not in the best situation, but you're only dating, you're not talking about marriage in the next couple of months, that you just automatically write them off? Now, once you get to the point where you're talking about, okay, we want to move forward, we want to make this official, we want to, do XYZ, then yes, then those conversations are definitely important. You want to make sure that you are entering a bond with someone that's able to help you be in a secure space, but right out the gate you meet someone that is able to provide things for you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, that they're a good person, but unfortunately they're in an unfortunate situation at the moment that could change at any moment. Is it fair to unwrite them, to write them off right out the gate without giving them an opportunity? Because at that point you're not even taught, you're not even, I mean, yes, you're thinking about long term, but in that moment, in those beginning couple of months, you're just really getting to know each other. You're figuring each other out. I'm learning
Yep.
what type of person you are, what your personality is, what your background is, what your situation is. And then as we continue to progress, if I start to learn things about you that shows me that we probably wouldn't be in a financially secure situation, or you don't have drive, or you don't have the motivation, or you don't have the desire to get in a space where if we were together you would be able to help provide for our household, then it's on me to make that decision at that point once I learn that about you, that no, this cannot move forward because I'm learning things about you that does not seem healthy for the future that I desire. But in the very beginning, if I'm meeting you and you tell me that you don't have a job because of XYZ, depending on what XYZ is, I think as we are getting older, it is unfair to just automatically write people off without learning them and trying to get a better understanding of them first before making that decision.
So
And I can
I
say from
hear you,
personal
and
experience that I used to be that girl. I was that girl. I'm going to write you off. What do you do for a living? Oh, you work at Five Guys. Oh, I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was that woman that out the gate, if you answer certain questions in certain ways, I didn't even give you an opportunity. And these could have been really great guys, but because of the materialistic things, I was that woman. I was like, nah, I'm cool. And I just never gave people an opportunity. And I realized that my dating experiences shifted once I became a little more open minded to at least to getting to know a person and giving them an opportunity for me to be able to see who they really are. And then once I learned who they really are, if this is a person that I could see myself with and growing with, or based off of what you're showing me, no, I can't see this progressing.
and so I guess this goes back to like one of those differences between men and women, right? Because so I'm gonna do all of those things with babes that have jobs, right? Like I'm not even considering the babes that don't have jobs. You get what I'm saying? Like my pool of people that I want to see about all the things that they do for me and how they make me feel, my pool is gonna be with all babes that bring something to the table. I'm not considering any of those babes that are looking at me as a meal ticket. Like I'm just not. But again, this the dating experiences between men and women are very very different. So I've been lucky enough to not have to deal with things in the same way that women do. So I get that, and I don't want to take away that experience, because yeah, he may be a great guy, and again, you said something that completely changed my perspective of this gentleman, right? Like you said, like he wasn't working, but he wasn't looking for a job. I've been that guy. Like I said, when we had Kit, I took 6 months off, like by choice. Like it's a very different thing to be unemployed by choice or to be unemployed by chance. Those are two different men. So
Well,
I
it
apologize
was
for what I.
both. It was both for
Okay,
this particular guy. He was laid off, but fortunately, he was in a situation where, even though he was laid off, he was still in a financially secure enough situation where he wasn't pressed to find a
right.
job as soon as possible. I definitely want to bring in some of the comments from today's conversation. So
Mm-hmm.
Steve the Broussard, I hope I'm saying your name right. He was saying, but those first couple of weeks, y'all in a relationship because y'all think that they are the one. Brittany says only time will tell. Marcel and Brittany said that that the Five Guys guy, I guess, now is the district manager or the franchise owner, but folks be missing out and chasing the wrong thing. Steve again says that's the problem. Instead of identifying the red flags, people dodge them because they want them to be the one. And they're waiting for a sign that they are the one. And while they're waiting, they are getting more attached, regardless if they are the one. And that's a really good point. Hey.
My bad. I had to lay Kit down. My bad. She fell asleep in my arms.
I don't know. This was great dialogue. I see it's already 8:28. We definitely went way over our time. I don't know why we
What
thought
time is the verses tonight?
I don't know why we thought we could do this in an hour.
Right, for sure.
But no, this was really great dialogue. Those of you that have tuned in, thank you again for joining us tonight for this preseason edition of Mixed Company. Mixed Company will officially be back on January 20th with a live panel of guests, specially invited guests. We have a specific topic already lined up, so we're excited for January 20th to engage in that conversation. So make sure you guys follow the page, share the page, and tune in on January 20th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Last but not least, I definitely have to acknowledge some important people that have been a part of this mixed company journey. Matt and Latrice Cox. Latrice is my sorority sister. That's my twin. That's my girl. That's my homie. Her and her husband have a company. They make shirts, anything that you need custom designed. So they have made a lot of apparel for us. The hoodie that you see that Ray is wearing right now, Convo Cigars and Whiskey. The hoodie that you see that I'm wearing is the conversation for me. Listen, we got merch coming very soon. Mixed Company merch coming very soon. So please keep an eye on that release of that. But I had to acknowledge Latrice and Matt because they've been doing their thing with the custom t-shirts, custom designs. So if you ever need something made, hit me up, hit Ray up. We can get you their contact information so that you can get some custom apparel. Again, I already shouted out Tay. He created our logo. He put the fire under me to keep this mixed company thing going. So without him, there would be no mixed company. So I definitely want to acknowledge and shout him out. Tira, I don't know if Tira is watching right now, but she's a mentor of mine. She definitely helped me with a lot of things when it comes to my brand and to my website. So I definitely have to pay homage to her and thank her for everything that she has been doing as far as my journey when it comes to mixed company and Monisa Mason LLC. To my friends that have been strong supporters from day one, Devin, Brittany, you guys have been rocking with mixed company from the very beginning, and I appreciate you guys so much. Brittany, Devin, thank you for joining us today, providing your comments in the chat. It's Listen, I love y'all. Y'all already know what it is. What's understood ain't got to be explained. But thank you. I definitely thank you guys for just being my ride or dies and supporting this mixed company journey. And everybody else that's been supporting us. Ray, my co-host, I came to him with this idea and he was down with it from day one and he's been rolling with me ever since. So Ray, I definitely have to say thank you for being with me throughout this journey, the ups, the downs, the conversations, the meetings, everything. You've been You've been right here rocking with me. So we're gonna keep rolling to the wheels fall off. And even the other people that joined us today, Marcel, you've been going hard with us since the beginning. You always in the comments. You always bringing feedback. You always got something to say. So we definitely got to bring you on one of these episodes in 22 so you can get on the mic and say something. We would love to have you. Steve, I've never seen your name before, but I appreciate you today. I don't know if you're one of Ray's friends. I don't know you personally, but thank you for your input today. We appreciate you. And maybe
Hello,
one
cousin.
it's your little cousin.
Uh
Hey cousin, what Tupac saying? and poetic justice. But no, Steve, we appreciate you. You brought some great gems, so maybe Ray's gonna have to bring you on as well. And there's probably so many other people that I can thank right now, but those are the people that come to mind off the top of my head. So we're out. Versus is probably starting at any moment now. Those of you from Cleveland, make sure you rep hard for Bone Thugs
Boom,
and
boom, boom, boom,
Harmony.
boom,
It's
boom,
99,
boom,
99,
boom.
99. Listen, rep for Cleveland like you ain't rep for Cleveland. Like, listen, bitch, we from the land. You know what I'm saying? So go hard or go home. But no, fun times, great conversation. We will be back January 20th with a whole new panel, a whole new season, a brand new topic just for you guys. And we look forward to having you a part of it. And I have nothing left to say. This was great. Ray, do you have anything that you want to chime in on?
Absolutely. Monisa, I just want to thank you for helping get us through the pandemic. Monisa came to me with this, and I thought it was an amazing idea. We were all sitting at home, had missed the social interactions and all of that, and so she came with this platform to get people together and to get us back in conversations and to have some discourse and to really get our brains working again. Like just sitting at home and working from home and all of that sort of took its toll on a lot of us. So I just want to thank you for your vision, for your leadership, for your dedication to this, man. I know I've been a pain in your ass, but thanks for rocking with me. So kudos to you. I love what you've done. I love the vision, and I'm excited to be a part of it. So thank you, Monisa.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, if you're not already logged in, make sure you go to Versus. Get ready, get your drinks, get your snacks. Go hard for Bone Thugs and Harmony. Even though 3 6 Mafia, we love them too, but we got to rep for the land. So, those of you that are from Cleveland, make sure that you support Bone Thugs and Harmony. I'm hoping that we win this Versus, but I don't know. Only time will tell. But thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you. We love you. And until January 20th, peace, blessings. Have a
Good
great
night.
holiday. And please be safe with your Happy New Year. We out.